All right, folks, buckle up because we're diving deep into a world of, well, let's just say grit and glamour gone very wrong.
Yeah, I could say that.
You handed us No Orchids for Miss Blandish this time.
A
A
classic.
classic crime novel by James Hadley Chase.
Oh, yeah, definitely a classic.
And let me tell you, this book is not.
Not for the faint of heart.
No, not at all.
Definitely keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Absolutely. We're talking botched robbery kidnapping gone wrong.
A whole lot of wrong, yeah.
And a criminal gang that makes the average street thug look like, well.
Like a saint, practically.
So you ready to untangle this web of intrigue with us?
Always up for a challenge.
All right, so the story kicks off with three small-time crooks.
Small potatoes.
Riley, Bailey, and Faber.
The usual suspects.
They cook up this plan to nab a diamond necklace from the wealthy
Oh, very wealthy.
heiress Miss Blandish.
Yeah, they thought they could just waltz in and waltz out.
A smooth, almost gentlemanly heist.
They thought so, anyway.
No violence, no muss, no fuss.
Famous last words, right?
Right, but as we quickly learn,
As they quickly learn.
let's go sideways.
And fast.
Sad.
Chase doesn't waste any time plunging us into this world, where even the simplest plans
Yeah.
can blow up in your face.
Totally, and that's what happens. I mean,
Dental death
the accidental death of Miss Blandish's boyfriend during the robbery, just
throws everything into chaos.
instant chaos.
Total chaos.
Suddenly, these small-time crooks
They're in way over their heads.
facing a murder charge.
The stakes just skyrocketed.
And you can practically feel their panic.
Oh, yeah.
As the police close in and the media
The media goes crazy.
explodes, fiend frenzy.
Yeah, and it just shows you that in this world, even a tiny misstep
Time
can have deadly repercussions.
absolutely deadly.
And speaking of deadly,
That's where the Grissom gang comes in.
oh boy.
This is where things take a seriously dark turn.
Forget small-time crooks.
The Grissons are a whole different beast.
They're a force of nature.
A force of nature is right. I mean, the Grissom gang, their arrival, it's a turning point
Oh, absolutely.
in the novel.
They're a well-oiled criminal machine.
Led by
The terrifying Margaret Grissom.
Grissom.
She commands respect.
Oh, yeah.
And fear.
In equal measure.
No doubt about it.
And then there's her son, Slim,
Oh, Slim.
whose cruelty just adds.
A whole other layer of menace.
Yeah, he's like a coiled spring.
Yeah, always on edge.
Always on the verge of snapping.
You never know what he's going to do next.
And the fact that he becomes fixated on Miss Blandish,
That's where things get really unsettling.
it sends chills down your spine.
It's classic noir, this exploitation of vulnerability.
Uh-huh.
Slim's obsession with Miss Blandish. It's not love.
Right.
It's control.
Control.
Born from his own twisted psyche.
Right. And Chase, he's so good at building this tension. You fear for Miss Blandish,
The whole time.
physically and psychologically.
Yeah, she's in a very, very bad spot.
So the Grissons, they demand a huge ransom
No.
for Miss Blandish and her father, just desperate to get her back.
Wouldn't you be?
He pays up.
But there's always a but.
Well, Grissom being the cold-blooded,
Operator.
yeah, she decides to keep Miss Blandish anyway.
No honor among thieves,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Classic double cross.
It's ruthless.
It really highlights their ruthlessness.
They see her as a liability.
A loose end.
Got to tie up those loose ends.
Exactly.
And at this point, the story, it becomes about her fight for survival.
As much as it is about catching the criminals.
It's a race against time.
Absolutely.
And that's where Dave Fenner comes in.
Our knight in tarnished armor.
This hard-boiled private investigator.
He's a breath of fresh air.
In this world of corruption and incompetence.
You said it.
While the police are fumbling around.
They're not exactly the sharpest tools in the shed.
Fenner brings this sharp
Methodical
approach to the case.
He's the classic hard-boiled detective.
Yeah.
A trope Chase uses to contrast with the ineffectiveness of the authorities.
Like they're totally useless.
Pretty much.
Which was common in noir, I guess.
Yeah, it reflects that post-war cynicism, toward institutions.
Makes you think.
It does.
So Fenner, he operates outside the system.
He's goddamn.
Relies on his wits and his understanding
Criminal mind.
to find the truth.
He's seen it all.
He's a bit rough around the edges.
Yeah, a bit.
But you get the feeling that he's the only one who really cares.
About finding Miss Blandish.
Yeah. And as he digs deeper, the story takes us even further into the dark heart,
Of the city.
exposing those secrets and lies.
Looking beneath the surface.
And it's like we're going on this journey with Fenner,
Healing back the layers.
peeling back layers of deception.
To uncover a reality most people would rather ignore.
And as Fenner is closing in,
Getting closer.
Miss Blandish is trapped
And a nightmare.
under Slim's twisted control.
It's hard to even imagine.
She's subjected to just unimaginable cruelty.
Physical and psychological.
It's a tough read.
It is.
But Chase doesn't shy away from showing the brutal impact of trauma.
He doesn't sugarcoat it.
No,
That's where his writing really gets to you.
he makes you feel it.
Doesn't just tell you.
You feel it.
The novel delves into those psychological complexities of captivity, how
Yeah.
prolonged exposure to violence and manipulation can just break a person
It's a stark reminder of those lasting scars that trauma can leave.
long after the physical ones have healed.
It's heartbreaking to see how she transforms, from this strong, independent woman into...
A shell of her former self.
But just when you think all hope is lost,
Finner catches a break,
he tracks the Grissons to their hideout.
leading to a final showdown.
That is as explosive.
As it is chaotic.
It's pure cinematic action,
A desperate fight for survival.
where the lines between good and evil,
Get blurred.
yeah, they do.
Margaret Grisson and most of the gang, they meet a very violent end.
But Slim,
Slim.
always the wild card,
Tries to make a run for it.
taking Miss Blandish with him.
And in a final act of desperation.
Slim is killed, and Miss Blandish is rescued.
But
But
it's not a happy ending.
no, it's far from it.
She's physically free,
But the ordeal has left her shattered
unable to escape that psychological prison.
of her trauma.
This is what sets No Orchids from Miss Blandish apart.
From other Prime novels?
It's not about the thrill of the chase
No.
or the satisfaction of seeing the bad guys get what they deserve.
It's about the consequences.
The enduring consequences of violence
The invisible wounds.
that linger long after the physical scars have healed.
Exactly. And we see that in how Miss Blandish interacts with the world.
After her rescue,
She's withdrawn, haunted by those memories.
you can see it in her eyes.
Even her father's love and support.
It can't seem to reach her.
It's powerful.
It's a powerful statement about the lasting damage that trauma can inflict.
And it forces us to confront this difficult truth that sometimes
There's no going back.
the damage is done.
And all we can do is try to understand,
Yeah.
the complexities of human resilience.
And the long road to recovery.
It's a long road.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into No Orchids for Miss Blandish, I'm left with this sense of
Unease.
unease, a feeling that even when justice prevails, the scars remain.
They do.
It's a story that challenges our assumptions about crime and punishment,
Absolutely.
forcing us to look beyond the surface.
And grapple with the true cost of violence and greed.
Powerful stuff.
It is.
So much to think about.
Absolutely.
How do we as a society even address the root causes of this darkness?
It's a big question.
How do we support those who've endured trauma?
And prevent such horrors from happening in the first place.
That's the ultimate goal, isn't it?
I think so.
We've covered a lot of ground here.
A lot.
What stands out to you?
What resonated most?
Maybe it's that chilling portrayal of the criminal underworld.
Or the exploration of trauma and its lasting impact.
Whatever it is, this deep dive, I think, has given us all a lot to think about.
Food for thought.
Food for thought indeed.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us.
Well, my pleasure.
Until next time.
Keep those pages turning.
Stay curious.
And keep exploring.
We'll see you in the next deep dive.
See you then.